your business and you want to see it grow, MDDC Ad Services is your ultimate partner in your important mission. MDDC Ad Services is a full-service multimedia advertising and marketing agency. We specialize in crafting results-driven marketing campaigns. Companies use our services to increase their reach and visibility. Our customers are more than clients. They are our partners. And their success is our success. We take time to understand your challenges before designing a custom marketing solution. We'll make it streamlined, easy to understand, affordable, and tailored just for you. We take pride in the comprehensive services we provide to you. Our expertise simplifies the process and clarifies what's important to you, from marketing research to media planning to buying to fulfillment. And to make it even easier, you'll receive only one itemized invoice for our services. MDDC Ad Services is anchored in Maryland, Delaware, and DC, and is a part of the MDDC Press Association, which represents news media in the region. From that foundation, we reach out across the nation and take a holistic approach to all our marketing campaigns. Put all your options on the table to get the results you need. MDDC Ad Services recommends and includes all forms of marketing, including strategic print, targeted digital and social marketing, and new and creative ways to reach your audience. When you partner with us, you get access to millions of potential clients that are high income and highly educated. And since our media partners have built a trusted reputation in their local markets, associating your brands with them brings trust to your business too. Contact us today for your free marketing consultation.
Okay, so I think this is a good spot to get started. I'll keep an eye out for anyone else that wants to jump in that may be joining us a little bit late. Let me just make sure my colleague Rebecca, I just want to make sure you can hear me okay, and that, okay, great. And we actually have someone else joining in here.
Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here. While Kevin's letting some people in the proverbial door, I just wanted to share, I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland, Delaware, DC Press Service and Press Association, and I'll be manning the chat function today. So if you have questions, feel free to either just post them to the group chat or send it to me privately, and I'll make sure Kevin answers your questions or addresses it at some point. We have a good group here, and I'm excited to hear marketing pro tips.
Perfect. Thanks, Rebecca. So yeah, let's get started. I'll keep a lookout for anyone else popping in. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. Just a few housekeeping items. I have everyone muted on the call, but as Rebecca said, if you have any questions regarding the content that I'm presenting, please definitely use the chat feature. Either send it to Rebecca directly, or you can send it into the group chat. We'll make sure that we answer your questions as best we can. Today, we're going to go over quite a few different things that our agency is taking into consideration for our clients regarding how we're mapping out their 2021 marketing plans. Some things will include, where we are right now in today's world, our predictions on, some of the different ways that we see 2020 potentially panning out economically, how consumers are interacting with various marketing mediums right now, and how you as a business can best leverage those mediums to really thrive in 2021. So real quick, let me just introduce myself. My name is Kevin Berrier. I'm the advertising director for MDDC Advertising Services. I've been in the marketing game quite a long time. I've been educating and managing marketing campaigns for clients across the United States for just about 20 years now. Also, I really take pride. I confess I'm a digital geek. In marketing, what I found and my team has found that especially in this day and age, the digital marketing environments, they change daily. So my team and I, we really take pride in understanding those changes within, that digital sphere and really how to leverage those changes to positively impact our clients' return on ad spend with us. So Any questions you have regarding digital, definitely throw them my way. But I confess you may get a little bit of a geek out over it from me. So I have forewarned. So enough about me. Let's get started. First, I think right now it's important to understand, the world right now. At a 30,000 foot view, COVID-19 is still around. We suspect that it will still be around, and that will still be the case for some part of 2021. Because of that, consumers are uncomfortable in varying degrees regarding COVID. And from a business standpoint, businesses, while we've found they've started to begin finding their footing, they're still struggling to stabilize. So with that being said, as we look at 2021, we predict that the business economy is going to fall under one of these theories. Of course, the most desirable scenario is that, we are currently in the worst now, or the worst is behind us, and that 2021 will really start defining the beginning of a recovery and some sense of normalcy. We foresee could come by mid next year. We could, of course, see a U-shaped pattern where, 2021 will continue to represent some declines, but within perhaps the first half of 2021, the trend will start turning upward to a gradual recovery by later in the year in 2021. We could see multiple rounds of COVID infections like we have seen that will, cause reopenings to stop and start again, which, will create ebbs and flows throughout the year of 2021. And I find this to be unlikely based on the data that's available today. The doomsday scenario where, COVID will just continue to get worse, and, commerce as we currently know it today will change, will change fundamentally. So, there's really, at a 30,000 foot view, there's really what we see and what we're preparing our clients for are one of these four different scenarios here. Okay, does that make sense? Are there any questions so far on that?
Actually, yeah, this is Rebecca. So we have a question that someone sent me on the chat. So out of those four scenarios, it looks like there's a W, an L, a U, a V. What do you see as the most likely shape? Like, what's the most likely scenario?
Yeah. Okay. So, that's a good question. So actually, I'm optimistic. We've seen increases in consumer spending in many areas, even during the recent height of COVID, and for our clients that have sustained injury during the early stages of COVID, we've been able to help them heal and really turn the tide, which, for us it's very encouraging to see. So, as of today, I would say we're probably going to either fall within the V shape or the U shape, just based on, increases in the consumer spending we're seeing now, how our clients' business has continued to improve and continue to heal for those business sectors that have been impacted. So I'm optimistic. Could always change. We know that COVID's a fickle pickle, but I'm encouraged to see a sense of normalcy by mid-year 2021. So I hope that answers that question.
Looks like it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. So with the uncertainty, really, honestly, of how 2021 is going to pan out, it's important for us to understand, the current consumer behavior today. So we partnered with a national data company to deploy out a COVID-19 consumer spending survey. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back one. And for us, the data was really paramount for us to understand how we can communicate with the consumer for our clients to create consumer comfort, which then in turn begins to create consumer confidence. We've had within our survey about 26,000 respondents so far, and the data's pretty insightful. It gives us a good map as to how we're moving forward on behalf of our clients here at our agency. The overarching theme in the data is that over three quarters of consumers say they are still uncomfortable buying goods and services from businesses. Top reason behind that is because they are still, to this day, they don't have a full grasp on how businesses are addressing COVID relating to their comfort, their consumer comfort, or they're seeing that businesses aren't adhering to safety practices that consumers are really looking for. Additionally, over half of consumers have stated that they're still confused as to which businesses are open and how they're operating during COVID. So in short, consumers want to spend, but right now they're indecisive as to where to spend their dollars because they're not comfortably confident, or they simply just don't know who to spend their dollars with. And for us, therein lies the opportunity that we're leveraging for our clients. Okay, so it's very important to really understand how the consumer is today, because that is going to bleed over into 2021, and it will help us map our strategy, and it should help map your strategy as you look at your marketing campaigns for the next year. Okay, Rebecca, any questions that you've seen come through on that?
No, we're all clear. You look like you're answering as you go.
Okay, very cool. Let us keep going. So I want to take a look at a few different marketing vehicles that you should have on your radar as you're looking into 2021. And we're going to start with social media. So for myself as a marketer, I've long sold my soul to social media. I use it personally, perhaps maybe a bit too much. But in doing that, I've been able to really gain valuable insight as to how consumers are digesting content and information within the social media space. Okay, consumers in large, they use social media to be entertained. Think about it. Let's use Facebook for an example. People go on Facebook to connect with friends, family, and also businesses that they're loyal to. Myself, I'm loyal to Under Armour. I love their brand, and I'm very loyal to them, and I see a lot of their content that they're posting on social media. For you as a business owner, that provides you with an audience that you can engage with when you want to engage with them, which is very, very valuable to you. But as I'm sure you know, if you organically post on Facebook, you're only reaching maybe 2 to 5%, at most 5% of your followers on your Facebook business page. Okay, so we have to understand, Facebook is a for-profit company, and to reach your full followership, you have to pay to play. Right now, Facebook and Instagram, Facebook has reported that they have seen a 36% decrease in user engagement during COVID-19, that is a huge decrease on such a large platform. Mainly consumers, especially when it impacts their safety, they really become very astute to the misinformation that they see, and because of this, the audience attention has shifted. Okay, I mean, social media is it's let's face it, it's swamped with extreme content right now, and if you're currently putting dollars behind ad buying on Facebook, I would question whether or not you're aware that it's likely that at some point your brand may have been unintentionally aligned with extreme content that your brand's probably not aware it's even being aligned with, or probably that your brand doesn't even endorse. So brand safety on social media, it's virtually non-existent. So you have to be very careful, and you need to see certain markers to make sure that if these markers are thrown within your campaign, that you're able to see them. So you need to keep that in mind. But regardless, it's necessary to engage with social media and to have social media in your marketing plan. So here's a pro tip for you. If you're ad buying on Facebook and then as a result, Instagram as well, take the time and compile your customer email database and create a lookalike audience within Facebook as an audience segment. Okay, so of course, the more emails, the better. And what Facebook's going to do is they're going to take that information and they're going to generate an audience that mirrors your customer base. Okay, but be careful. And this is the pro tip. Be very careful because Facebook overextends. They will claim that there are millions upon millions of social viewers out there on their platform that match your current customer persona, but it's simply not true. So when Facebook creates its lookalike audience for you, use the top 5% of that audience as you're creating campaigns, and then test and see how it's performing and see how it's converting compared to other targeted audience segments that you're deploying ads out for. So the top 5% rule is a very, very important thing to keep in mind as you create a lookalike audience, which can be very valuable to you.
Hey, Kevin, if I can interrupt you for a second, I got a question coming in privately on the chat about the markers. You had talked earlier about to see if your brand is associated with extreme content on Facebook. The question is, what should I be looking out for with that extreme content? Like, how would I find it?
Oh yeah, no. So that's a great question. So, okay, so the markers, if your brand is potentially tied to extreme content, the things that you should be seeing, or the markers or flags that should be throwing up, they're pretty glaring. Some things you want to watch out for are like negative reviews on your social platforms or on your Google business profile. If you don't have your notifications turned on in real time for Facebook, for example, it's a good idea to turn them on for your mobile device. So if a consumer engages with your brand negatively on Facebook or reviews you negatively because you've been unintentionally tied to extreme content, you can address it immediately. And, it's important to make sure that you take that conversation offline and put the earnest back on Facebook. We've had a client that we had to deal with this for. It was quite a bit of PR that we had to do, because if someone puts a negative review on Facebook, the only way to get that negative review taken down is for that reviewer to willingly take it down. People are passionate. However, explaining the situation where, you creating an understanding that, nope, I had no idea that we were aligned with that extreme content. We've frozen the campaign so we can evaluate. We don't endorse that content, and we weren't aware that Facebook's algorithms have tied my brand to that content. Put the earnest back on Facebook, because consumers don't really understand that Facebook doesn't provide you the ability to exclude your brand from being tied to content that could be deemed extreme. And that extreme content could be as simple as, a political side. And as we know right now, the political landscape is very passionate right now. So make sure your notifications are turned on in real time so you can address it as quickly as possible. And then more times than not, you're going to get that reviewer to take down their post, and you probably will turn someone who has a bad perception of your brand into a loyal follower because you've been so responsive to them. Okay. All right. So let's hop into local media right now. So remember when I said consumers are shifting their attention away from social media? They're shifting their attention to local media right now, and primarily the reason being is because they found that their local community media outlets, newspapers, for example, they've been able to inform the community with reputable and reliably sourced information as it relates to COVID. Local media has done a great job, honestly, on stepping up for their communities to really communicate the information that's important to the community in real time, honestly. So, because of that, we have from our local media partners that we use on behalf of our clients, we've seen subscriptions to print, increase. We've seen traffic to localmedia.coms increase. And beyond that, the great thing that we found is, and we've leveraged this as a marketing agency for our clients, is that, newspapers have, on average, a 300% more audited readership over other marketing channels. So as we're developing marketing budgets for our clients, we found that on average, we can have a reach that's a few pennies per person, which is in comparison to, for example, social media, where it can cost, dollars per person to reach. Beyond that, local media, it provides a brand safe environment for businesses to use. And in many cases, we're able to place our client into local media where they can dominate within their business category, because they're not vying to get in front of consumers that, they're sitting right next to their competitors in doing so. So, newspapers really, they've become one of the most valued resources in the nation right now from a consumer perspective. And it's one of the most impactful and valuable mediums for businesses to create top of mind awareness to consumers, and usually in a space where they're not vying for market share right next to a competitor of theirs. And because of that, I only see, and I suspect the values of local media will continue to increase in 2021. And it's very much on our radar. And I believe this medium really should be very much on your radar as well. Okay. Any questions on that? Rebecca, has anything come through?
No, you're good. You can continue.
Okay, very good. One thing I actually want to note as well, because we've heard this from clients too quite a few times, is, as we're talking to them about a local media buy, one of the biggest things that they actually ask us is, well, local media isn't trackable, right? You can't you can't attract or you can't evaluate the ROI that's tied to a print campaign, and I want to share that's actually not true. So I want to share what we're doing, for example, in many of our campaigns for our clients. We're putting in call tracking numbers within their ad, or in other words, a phone number that's specifically designated for that ad set only, and is only published within those ads itself. So the number of calls that we see coming through, we can start assessing the volume. And furthermore, in many of our campaigns, we partner with our clients to reconcile their sales that they assign to specific phone numbers that are calling in. And as of right now, during COVID, we're averaging a 53% conversion rate on calls. Or in other words, when our clients are getting calls based on a newspaper print ad that a consumer sees, they're closing a sale on more than half of those calls coming in, which is unusually unheard of. Honestly, at the beginning when I heard that, I was skeptical. But in reconciling, we're at 53%, and it actually keeps on growing. So, newspapers, when you look at it and you try to think of, well, why? Newspaper readers are a valuable audience. They're normally they normally have a higher income, with a sizable expendable income, and they're a well-educated audience. They spend money and they trust the brands that they see in newspapers, because no matter what they say about newspapers, either I love this story or I hate this story because I may disagree, they trust the content that they see is valid. And because of that, the trust extends to the advertisers as well. Okay, so it's if you want to find a diamond in the rough to try to take advantage of in 2021, look at local media. We are very, very heavily, and we expect to be very successful for our clients in 2021 based on that. Okay. So let's move on to email marketing. Email marketing is I think it's as much as a fickle pickle as COVID-19 itself is. And I'm sure you all may have felt this yourself. I know I have, but email marketing has increased by 42% actually during COVID-19. The volume of emails that people are seeing from businesses have increased 42%. Email is the easiest way for businesses to immediately communicate really unencumbered with their audience. But in a traditional marketer's way, we as marketers, we've used and abused email as a marketing resource, and it's really causing some damaging effects. Those damaging effects are by the way of unsubscribe rates. Unsubscribe rates have increased by over 800%. That is a scary number. It's a very scary number. And it's due to the increased email volume that consumers are exposed to right now. Think about it. Think about it on your own mobile device. Inboxes on mobile devices are usually compiled of a personal and professional email address funneling into one inbox. And with consumers feeling inconvenienced and time strained right now, they're electing to simply unsubscribe to emails that aren't valuable to them, just in an effort to keep their inboxes clean. So what I would say to you is really be selective. Really evaluate your frequency of emails going out, and make sure that you're not just providing redundant content in your email. Or in other words, don't email the very same content that you just posted on your social media platform to your audience. All you're going to do is you're going to create banner blindness with your audience and frustration, honestly, and you'll see your unsubscribe rates increase, and that is a red flag. Additionally, if you have an email database that may be that has maybe been dormant for a while, reintroduce the fact that you're going to re-engage with them very, very carefully. So here's our email pro tip. When you're reintroducing, the best way to reintroduce yourself to a dormant email database is to ask them what they would like to see from you. Here's an example for us. We have a restaurant who's a client that has, over 4,000 emails that sat within his database for almost 2 years. And to limit the unsubscribes, we broke up the email strategy really into 4 different pockets. Things like, so for restaurants, things like specials, events, local supporting local, because that's important within his community, and really general information. So essentially what we did was we allowed the community to choose what specifically they wanted to see. And in doing that, we were able to keep the unsubscribes remarkably low. And any unsubscribes that we did see were specifically tied to a user moving out of the area in which the restaurant's in. So they moved out of town, maybe moved out of state. And surprisingly, most emails signed back up to receive all emails, which is great. So they see everything. The exercise that we did, it was in an effort to have consumers be more apt to support our client outwardly, because we demonstrated trust with them. Okay, we demonstrated for our client that, and to the consumer, that we wanted to hear from them. We wanted to make sure that the content that we provided to them is only the content that they see value in. So you have to, your email audience is going to be one of the most valuable audience buckets that you will have in your arsenal. And you have to treat it very, very carefully. And the best terms is, you have to treat it with kid gloves. Otherwise, you're going to see unsubscribe rates increase. That starts to affect your CAN spam compliancy, and it just, the negative effects just continue to roll downhill. So be very, very selective. Make sure your content is valuable. Make sure if you have a dormant audience that you're re-engaging them and asking them what they want to see. Essentially, what you're asking them to do is to re-opt in to your email. And I assure you, if you do it in that way, you're going to see unsubscribe rates low. You're going to see a lot of people re-opting back in, and you're going to see an increased sense of loyalty from those folks because you're interacting with them in a way that makes them comfortable. Okay.
Kevin, I'm sorry to interrupt. Kevin had asked, I got a message on the chat that really kind of goes back to basics. This person hasn't done a lot of email marketing and thinks that it's something that could benefit the business, but doesn't really know where to start. Are there some simple resources that you could recommend briefly?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different email marketing platforms out there. I like MailChimp. It's relatively simple to use, though the free version is limiting in the quantity of emails that you can have in your audience, and the emails that you can send per day and even per month. But MailChimp's a great platform to use. They're CAN spam compliant, which is very important. That ensures that your emails are falling into an inbox and not a junk or spam folder. And they have a lot of templates that you can use to get started. But I would caution you, walk before you run. Keep your emails clean and simple. It's easy. It's very, very easy when you're using a platform like MailChimp and using their templates to make like the flashiest email that you can. Something it's almost like a lit flashing Christmas tree. But that's only going to turn consumers off. So really be cognizant of that. And, at the end of the presentation, I'll provide my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. We can set up a call. We'll help navigate you where you need to go to correctly start, an email marketing campaign. It's a great question. Okay. So the last marketing tactic that I'm going to talk about here today is search marketing. Okay, or Google Ads. We'll use Google Ads as an example because that, let's face it, Google as a search engine, they're the 10,000-pound gorilla on the block. Okay, on the front end, search marketing has remained, largely unchanged. It's pretty simple, right? You create a text ad that, displays to a consumer based on the keywords that they use within their search query. Okay, but on the back end, and this is the important part, on the back end, the way consumers are engaging with search engines, it's changed drastically. People are using search engines now the same way that they're using, a virtual assistant like, Alexa or Google Home or, on your mobile device, Siri or Cortana. And what that means is, the keywords that they're using are more flexible. And more importantly, they're using, because it's fascinating. They're using search engines as if it's a human being. So they're asking it questions just like I would ask a question to you or you would ask a question to me. Find X near me, find a plumber near me, find HVAC, find a restaurant near me. That type of query is being used more now than ever. So you need to consider this when you're creating your campaigns in, your Google Ads platform. If you currently have a search engine campaign running now and you haven't checked your analytics this week or maybe this month or even this year, please, so I can sleep well at night, please do that after you get off this webinar. And if what you find looks Greek to you, again, I'll give you all my contact information at the end of this webinar. Send me your analytics. I love to geek out over numbers and analytics, and I can help guide you on what I see to help better your campaign. Because the fact of the matter is, search marketing is notorious for wicking away money out of your account monthly, because you have underperforming keywords that simply really aren't relevant anymore. Okay, I mean, Google provides pretty robust analytics, but the devil's in the details. You should be checking your search campaigns daily to see how they're performing. And if you see a strong keyword set, you really need to consider reallocating some of your budget from underperforming keywords to amplify the strength of keywords that are already working well for you. Okay. Additionally, you should also consider expanding out into Google's network to diversify your reach. And that looks like things like YouTube and, Google's programmatic ad exchanges. They do make it pretty easy for you to expand out beyond just search marketing. But that in and of itself creates a little bit more complexity on how you structure your campaign. So before you do it, do your homework and just make sure that when you're designing your campaign, you're designing it in a way that, you're starting to see positive results through the analytics that Google provides. And there is no shortage to analytics that Google can give to you.
Hey, Kevin, if I can jump in for a second, I've heard, and this is actually my question, could you go back to the keywords piece a little bit? Because I've heard from just a lot of various people that, any clicks are good clicks. And so can you talk a little bit about why, if it's driving traffic to your website, why you would be taking money away from some keywords? If it's, even if it's just a couple, doesn't that help?
Okay, so I would say yes and no. Let me give you an example. Here's a good example. So, and this is actually an example that we exposed with many of our clients when we did initial consults with them. So, so Google recommends that, you use your own business as a keyword. Let's say Jim's Pizza Shop. Google says, well, you need to use Jim's Pizza Shop as a keyword. And the goal for search engine campaigns are to normally drive traffic to a website. But in many cases, your website's going to rank organically high anyway, if not rank in the #1 organic spot. If your website's up to snuff in the eyes of Google. And what I mean by that is, is your website responsive, or at the least, is your website mobile optimized? As long as there are no broken links on your website, if your website is in good shape, theoretically, you should be ranking high. If I, as a consumer, am typing in Jim's Pizza Shop, Baltimore, Maryland, you should rank organically high anyway. And the fact of the matter is, and what we saw with a lot of our clients, is that the lion's share of most of their search spend budget was being wasted on their own business name as a keyword. So, it's something you need to keep an eye on and really do your homework and see how your website ranks organically anyway. Because if your website ranks above the scroll organically, why put money towards a consumer clicking an ad at the top when if they look, 3 segments down, they're going to see organically your website anyway. So, take that budget that you have allocated towards your own business name as a keyword and put it towards other keyword structures that you can continue to build. Because in all cases, in every case that we have seen for our clients, we have not seen a dip in performance when we've deployed that tactic for them. So, you'll hear a lot of marketers say, well, use your own website, or excuse me, your own business name as a keyword. Most times that's because the marketer is doing the campaign for you, and they want to make sure that as you as a business, when you're searching just to see if your marketer's doing what they're supposed to be doing, that marketer wants to make sure you see their ad. But it's a waste of money, and more times than not, it eats up the lion's share of your budget. So, pro tip: don't use your business name as a keyword unless there's a compelling reason. And honestly, the only compelling reason is if your website's in such rough shape that you're not ranking organically high anyway. And if that's the case, you need to look at updating your website to be at least mobile optimized, or, if not, responsive. Responsive is always the way you want to go.
Got it. So basically, don't pay for keywords that you should be getting, like that you'd get that traffic for free anyway.
Exactly. And that's what we've seen. Yeah, that's what we've seen with our client partners. Yeah. So, so really the most important thing that you really need to do, and that really you can do now for 2021, is to map out what your marketing plan looks like. To drive consumers from awareness to action, you have to make sure that first you have a plan. Honestly, what's the goal of each marketing vehicle that you're setting for yourself? Do you have creative synergy between your creative collateral across all platforms? Do the platforms that you're using marry well together with one another? If you can't create a narrative on how you're guiding a consumer through the buying journey, you need to take a step back and you need to reevaluate. Now, each business is different, and, you may need to put more emphasis on one platform versus another based on your business category. But the same fundamental principles apply. So you need to start now. Honestly, you need to start now, and that's what we're doing for our clients. We're starting now in figuring out how we're going to address their marketing campaigns in the unknown of 2021. You're probably going to need to invest, but at the end of the day, it's beautifully simple. At the end of the day, if you're not seen, you're not an option. And I can all but guarantee, I should say, that if you don't play in the same space and in this space in a well and thought out strategic way, your competitors will, and honestly, they probably are already. So consumers are spending, they're spending, and they're spending on wants as well as needs. So you need to make sure that you are seen in multiple areas, so so consumers see you as an option. Especially if you're a local business, you have sympathy on your side. Consumers are sympathetic and are valuing their local businesses right now. I see it in the community I live in. Local business supports local community. Local community is reciprocating back and supporting that local business. So you have to be seen, though, and you have to be seen in a proactive way. Okay, so that is a ton of information, and I thank everyone for taking the time to hear me geek out today about all things marketing. Our goal really is to make sure that we can be a resource for businesses and organizations to really help guide them through the just never-ending complexities and matrices of marketing. So I'll make sure, of course, that everyone receives a PDF of this presentation today, and also a link to this recording so you can go back and listen back in if you need to. Don't hesitate to reach out to pick my brain. I love think tanking, and I'm happy to offer myself up as a resource to you. So if you're interested in that, please head over to mddcadservices.com/consultation and sign up for a free consultation with me, and my team and I will help guide you in the right direction. Or give me a call, email me, carry your pigeon, knock on my door, whatever you need. We're here to help. Okay, so thank you guys again for taking the time. With that, Rebecca, are there any more questions that you see that you've seen come across before we stop?
Let's see, I'm scrolling in my private scroll, and it looks like no, you've addressed all the questions that we've had. And thank you so very much.
Okay, very, very good. I'm checking. Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone again for taking the time. And also, I'll be sending out a feedback survey. Please take the time to fill that out. That helps us in our efforts to provide valuable content. So be transparently honest and give us your feedback, and keep a lookout for other webinars that we're doing throughout 2021. There's an opportunity to thrive. It's just going to take some strategy, and I think together we can help do that for you. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to end out. Give me a ring if you have any questions, or email me, and we'll be in touch soon through email.